With me today is the conservationist Roxanne Whelan. Roxanne currently works for the UAE University as a wildlife research assistant. Roxanne has worked on several wildlife projects in Oman, including satellite tagging Arabian humpback whales, tracking the elusive Arabian leopard, and researching artificial life impacts on turtles in Masria Island. Roxanne, welcome to the Anglo-Omani Society, and thank you so much for coming and speaking to us today. I guess the first question I would like to ask you is, what made you so passionate about wildlife conservation, in particular wildlife conservation in Oman and the Gulf?
So I moved out to Abu Dhabi to start with, and I started getting interested in wildlife then. And then moving to Muscat, we were going out into the wadis and along the coast and seeing a lot of bird life and things like that. So that's, and then Oman, the locals are very interested in the environment. They're, beekeeping and things like that. And we were looking in the oasis and really exploring, and that's really where the passion started.
And what particular species are you most interested or passionate about?
I would say turtles is my number one, and then bird life is probably the next one. Yeah.
And just moving on to the ecosystem, how delicate is Oman's ecosystem, and what are the main threats to Oman's wildlife in today's world?
In general, so the marine environment is probably fishing is probably the main human activity that will affect the whales, the turtles, and then on the terrestrial side it would be like coastal development and development in general. Extra noise, extra lights, and things like that. So
in particular, looking at turtles and their nesting sites. How much does the tourist industry impact upon turtles' nesting sites with hotels on beaches?
As long as the hotels are sensitive to the turtles in allowing the tourists onto the beach when they're nesting, and also clearing the beach so that they don't get caught in the sun lounges and things like that, and then also turning off the lights if they're not needed, and keeping it very environmentally friendly,
Brilliant. And you touched on the artificial lights. How does that affect hatchlings when they, of turtles, artificial light when they hatch?
Well, I found with my study on Masira, more than 60% of the turtles were not going to the sea, so they were actually going towards the artificial light, be it the hotel, the street lights, and things like that. So.
And in relation to the different species of turtles found in Oman's waters, do different species nest in different areas along Oman's coast?
They do. So up in Ras Al Had, it's mainly the green turtles, and then down on Masira they have hawksbill nesting. I think some olive ridleys, but the loggerhead population is the second largest in the world after Florida. So there's about 20 to 30,000 nesting per year.
And with the loggerhead turtles, are we finding the population stable, or is it rising or decreasing? Or
I think it's decreasing.
And that's mainly due to fishing
and lights and
And what is Oman as a country doing in terms of conservation? Given the country's current economic challenges that it's facing.
So they do have a lot of projects. The Environment Society of Oman are very active with the turtles and frankincense trees and salala, protecting them as well, and doing a lot of research. And then the government, there are a lot of rules and regulations, environmental laws. It's just the enforcement that needs a bit of work.
Yeah.
And then obviously, once economic issues come in, you might get, the environment side might be a second thought if you do anything.
Of course, yeah.
So yeah.
Brilliant. And just touching on Oman's terrestrial wildlife, how much is known of the behaviour of some of Oman's more elusive creatures, such as the striped hyena, the Arabian leopard, or the Nubian
Not
ibex?
a lot. So the Arabian leopard, there has been some tracking studies being done by Hadi Al-Hikmani and Dr. Andrews Bolton. But the main technique to use to follow them and see their behaviour is camera trapping. So you put them remotely in, places that you would never really go, You have to hike for many hours and camp out there. So that's the main way you can really look into how they behave and how they migrate or interact with humans and things. So,
and with the Arabian leopard, of course, an iconic creature
Yes.
of the Arabian Peninsula, where is it distributed within Oman? Is it across? Or?
So it's become extinct in northern Oman, and the remaining is in Dhofar.
Okay.
So from Jebel Samhan Nature Reserve, which is a protected area, down into the Yemeni border. So along that mountain range.
And likewise, are we finding their population is stabilising now, or is it again decreasing?
I would say, well, there's around 50 individuals that have been identified, or 50 to 100, and there are cubs, so they are breeding, but whether that's sustainable, we just don't know. So just needs more monitoring and things.
Is the main threat for them still hunting, or is it just the spread of urbanisation?
No, well, there's a few threats. I think it would be the development, so people are spreading out into the mountain ranges. More people are visiting the areas, disturbance and things, and then also hunting of the prey, the Arabian tahar and the Arabian ibex. So,
And just looking at raising awareness, I mean, how can organisations such as the Anglo-Omani Society and its membership help to raise awareness for wildlife conservation within Oman?
Maybe get involved with volunteering, maybe cleanups or becoming members of the Environment Society, maybe donating, just things like that really, and spreading the word of how interesting the wildlife is in Oman.
And just a final question, I mean, how important is education, both in schools and universities, to raising awareness for the unique and diverse flora and fauna of Oman?
I'd say it's the number one issue that we need to really get into schools and get the kids interested, and so that they grow up knowing what's there and really being positive about the wildlife and protecting them.
So are you finding much interest amongst the local population, Emiratis and Omanis?
Yeah, they're very interested. Yeah, we visited the schools in Dhofar. They were really interested, yeah.
It's fantastic. Well, Roxanne Whelan, on behalf of all of us here at the Anglo-Omani Society, thank you so much for coming and speaking with us here today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Cheers.